Hey everyone, my name is Carl De Souza. I'm a solution architect on the Fast Track team at Microsoft, and I have here with me Jeremie Wride. Jeremy, you want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. Jeremie Wride, also a solution architect on the Fast Track team here at Microsoft. And today we want to show you a little bit about how to use Copilot Studio to get some real world data for your demos in Dynamics.
Yeah, this is an exciting one. I really like this one because you're using Copilot Studio, right? Not just Copilot, Copilot Studio. You have a bot that's going to insert that data directly into Dynamics, and you can tell it geographical locations as well, right? Super cool.
Carl, why would we want to use a geographical location here? What's the benefit?
Excellent question. So the benefit is, in the past, like when sample data would ship with Dynamics, and it was always like this Contoso data kind of based out of like maybe like Seattle area or something, I don't know. But it was always like very specific set data, right? And when you're a company trying out Dynamics, you want to be able to see data that's close to where you're located because it just makes more sense, you know? So it doesn't matter where you are located around the world, even, right? You could be in any city in the world. It makes so much more sense if you're using the system that has like accounts and contacts that are actually based in areas that you know about, right? So this is pretty powerful, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can demo based on where the location of our customer is.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. If you want
Awesome.
to demo, there's so many use cases for this. I love it, right? If you're a salesperson demoing Dynamics, if you're just trying out the system, there's many use cases for this, and this is an exciting one to show. So, what do you think? Shall we jump into it?
Let's do it.
All right. So, what we have here, this is Copilot Studio, right? And what we have this little bot that's running inside of Copilot Studio, but you can deploy this to various different channels as well if you need to. But the idea here is that I'm actually connected up to a Dynamics org that I'm in here, right? In the top right, you can see this. And this is our agent, and we're calling this the Dynamics 365 Sample Data Copilot. Okay. So it's an agent here that's going to help us create this data in Dynamics. And the great thing about agents is that it asks you questions to guide you through the process of doing things, right? So you can see here in the bottom right, it's actually saying, hello, I'm the Dynamics 365 Sample Data Copilot. I can create data in Dynamics 365. And then it's going to ask us here, do we want to get started by creating some service accounts, right? So service accounts are just accounts in Dynamics, okay? So we have two yes or no buttons here. I'm going to go ahead and click yes. And then it says, sure, I can help with that. Let's start by defining a central location where your data will be based, okay? And what I could do is I could just click this little button here that says use Times Square. And what's going to happen is it'll create data around Times Square, right? Now, if you don't really know where Times Square is, you're based somewhere else, perhaps, you can also enter in your own starting place here, all right? And I'm going to go and click enter my own starting place. And it says, all right, enter the latitude and longitude. Well, it actually first says enter the latitude of your starting place, right? It'll ask the
Carl, how do
longitude
we go
next.
about getting the latitude and longitude to put into the Copilot Studio here we're using?
Right. So there's probably some like tools you can like use if you wanted to physically do it. But the way that I like to do it is to just go to Big Maps over here and you can just type in a location and you'll be able to actually use the pin to get it. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to type in Disneyland. All right. So we're going to go over here to Disneyland and, really anywhere here, I can just kind of right click and down at the bottom, it says the latitude and longitude, right? So I can just go ahead and copy this here. Okay. And so it doesn't matter like where you are, right? You can use the same technique. And then I'm going to go back over here and paste this in. But I'm just going to delete the longitude here. So first thing here is the latitude. I'm going to go ahead and enter that in. Now it's asking for the longitude. I'm going to go ahead and remove the latitude. So it's the longitude there. Okay.
So
So we
Carl,
got both of those in.
we could use this same method to get a location basically anywhere um, that we want to use as the central location for the demo data that we want. Is that correct?
That's right, exactly. That's right. Yep. Anywhere in the world, any city. You just go over to Bing Maps over here, type in any city in the world, right click, and you can copy those coordinates. Okay. It's very cool. So we can see here what's happened is it actually says, great, and it shows us the demo data that it's going to put into Dynamics. Now, it hasn't done it yet because it's giving us a chance to just kind of look at it and make sure this is what we want, right? And you want to do this in a test environment. This is all test stuff. This is not something you would do in production, right? So it says here, like we have this kind of heading row here. It has the name, the address, the city, state, zip, latitude and longitude, right? And then here is sample data. So for example, here we have this one, tech innovators. Okay. This is
Now,
the
is this a
address
real
it's
company,
located.
Carl? Is this a real company that we're pulling data from here?
It's not a real company. So this is all fake information, right? Even the address is fake here. And you're wondering like, well, what's the point of putting a fake address into Dynamics? Okay. And I'll tell you, Jeremy, the reason is because the latitude and longitude are actually real. Okay. So that's the real thing. But everything else, and actually the city, the state, and the zip are real as well. But for privacy reasons, we don't want to use real companies or actual real street addresses, right? So I'm going to show you actually in a second how we set that up in the system here. But we want to make that, fake so that we're not in, we don't want to go into any sort of privacy issues, right?
So Copilot is generating some fake data, but using real locations in order to give us some information that we can use in our demo.
That is correct. Yes, that is correct. Yep. So it's gone and told us the information here, and it's now up to us if we want to say, hey, this looks good, or I'm not really too sure about this, right? So I'm going to say, yeah, let's go ahead and create this in Dynamics. So I'm going to click here, and it says account records have been created in Dynamics 365. Super fast, right? By the way, super fast.
Yeah.
So
So what's
now,
happening on the back end, Carl, when we press that button
uh,
that says
uh,
create that in Dynamics?
yeah. So what's happened is it's actually run a flow, a Power Automate flow, and it's gone and taken that Copilot data and automatically inserted it into Dynamics for us. Okay. I want to show you the flow in a second. I'm going to save
Okay,
that
cool.
that part for a little bit later. So if I go to my accounts over here, so you can actually see these ones at the bottom here, right? These ones that are here in like this one here is in Anaheim Tech Innovators, right? That's our guy. That's one of the ones that was created, right? Let me go ahead and jump into here. And you can see here is the address, right? So think of how quickly I created these 5 accounts, and I limited it to 5. You could make it as many as you want, right? There's no restriction on that. But just by a few button clicks, we've created this sample data in Dynamics.
So we
Pretty
can
nice.
we can determine the amount of data that we're putting in, the number of accounts that we want to push in. We can determine the location of where they're at,
Yep.
um, and
Yep.
we can extend that too. Is that correct? Like we can do more than just a name and an address?
Yes, sir. So, you look at these fields, there's some empty fields out here, and it's up to you. You can change the prompts in Copilot to be able to generate all these different types of data as sample data, right? So yeah, that's totally up to you. It's really cool.
Very cool.
Yes. So there's our accounts that were created. Some of these were already existing. We can ignore those. Now the let's talk about how we built this thing. Okay. And actually, by the way, Jeremy, I have a solution out here that is going to be in GitHub, and we will provide the link to that. But you can just go ahead and install this, and it'll have everything in there. Install it in a demo org, and you can just go ahead and run the Copilot. Okay.
So we can import the solution
Yep.
into the environment that we want, run
Yep.
it,
Yep.
and have it do the same thing in our environment.
That's correct. That's correct. Yep.
Awesome.
Super easy. We try to make it as easy as possible for people. But and don't forget, like what we have right now, we have accounts. Maybe in the future we'll extend this out a little bit, maybe to include like contacts and some other field service stuff, right? Because we love the field service entities that get included with the field service application, right? There's lots of really cool use cases around that. But for now, it's just accounts.
So I could potentially download and leverage this and add the additional entities and data that I want as needed. It doesn't have to be that we're waiting for this published solution. We can
Exactly.
use that and extend it, right? That's kind of the idea here is for to make this available to everybody, right?
Exactly. That's what we want. We want people to take this and run with it. Yep, that's right. And it's really very easy to do. So, you're going to come into here, copilotstudio.microsoft.com, select the environment over here that you want this to be installed in. And then you'll come over to agents and you will see this sample data copilot. Okay. So go ahead and open that up. And what you can do, so straight away on the bottom, on the right here, the bottom right, you'll have the ability to run it if you want. But let's talk about how we actually set this thing up. And the way this thing works is you can go into topics here and then the conversation start. This is really, really super simple. Basically, what it's doing here is it's basically saying, would you like to get started by creating some service accounts? These are just the main prompts, right? Here it's just saying, hello, this is my name. And then when we come down here on the left, we're redirecting here to a topic, which is this one here, the create Dynamics 365 account sample data. Okay. And if anyone's used Copilot Studio before, you'll know how easy it is to be able to set up these topics. And it's really just dragging and dropping and, prompting the user and guiding them through this process, right? And you can see here, the first thing we're doing is like we're saying, hey, let's take a look at this. It says, let's start by defining a central location, right? And then we come down here and we capture that information. We get the latitude, we get the longitude, we set the variables. So we have them ready for us in the Copilot Studio. And this one here is actually a kind of interesting one. This is where a lot of the heavy lifting gets done. This is where it generates the answers, right? Generative answers, okay? You can see over here, this is the prompt that we're sending across. We're saying, create a CSV format without double quotes of 5 accounts with the following: fake company name, fake street name, and then the rest of it. And then we're doing within 50 miles of the latitude and longitude that the user has provided. Okay.
So Carl, did Copilot Studio come up with this prompt here that you're using, or is this something that uh, has to be done ahead of time?
Yeah, I created this prompt and then I put this into Copilot Studio. So, as a user, like if you install the solution, it'll come with it. If you're trying to do this manually step by step, right, then you'll want to be able to type this prompt in to Copilot Studio.
So if I'm starting from scratch and let's say I want to extend this and I want to do something other than accounts and I want to do this generative information,
Yep.
I'm going to
Yep.
start by using a similar concept, right? Where I'm gonna tell, it's as if I'm talking to the Copilot agent, right?
Right, right, right. Exactly. Yep. That's
Okay.
right. Yeah. And what's cool is you can just take these prompts and just test them, right? So you just take these prompts, you can just copy these and then paste them in over here and then change these variables out and just kind of test it. Just make sure that you like the output. You can, and you mentioned like, you can extend this, like we could make this 5 contacts like this, right? And then with a fake name, right? Not a fake company name, but a fake name, right? And then you can put in other fields if you want, right? But you can, yeah, just test it out before you put it back here into the generative answers and make sure that you're getting the output that you want.
Okay, so we're taking this data that we're asking for specific things, but we're
Uh-huh.
asking Copilot to gather those things, and the generative
Yep,
answers are creating that in the format that we're telling it.
that's correct. Exactly. That's right. That's right. It's cool, right?
This is awesome.
So then once we get that, right, what we're doing, we're putting that into a variable here in Copilot Studio. And we're asking the user, hey, do you want to create these in Dynamics or not? And if they say yes, then we have this action right here, Power Automate action. Okay. So we're actually calling a flow here. So if I click on this, it's going to take us over to the Power Automate Maker portal. And you can see here, this is the one that we ran 8 minutes ago, right? Nice green success here. I love that color. I don't like the failed ones down here. That's one of the ones when I was testing this and trying to get this to work. But yeah, this is a Power Automate flow. And let me show you guys what this looks like. So we can see here it triggers from Copilot. Okay. And there are some steps here, but I'm going to boil this down. It's actually all that's happening here is we're taking that CSV formatted data that Copilot output, and we're kind of just like massaging it a little bit, making sure it's in a good readable format. We get the field names that are in that first row, and then we do some field mapping. We pass it into JSON, and we basically do everything so that it's in a format for Dynamics here to be able to digest. And we just go and create a new row for each of those records. Okay. So we're just looping through here, creating a row for each of the records. And you can see that each of these fields here are getting mapped from the CSV output to the Dynamics field.
So we parse the CSV that Copilot has created into a readable format, and then we're importing it using Flow.
Yep.
Is there is there a duplicate detection going on here at all, Carl?
You can set that up on the Dynamics side. I'm not doing anything here, but you can always add that in if you want to, or you could do it on the Dynamics side as well. That's kind of up to you.
So that's extending it, right? The ability to verify your data before you or while you're pushing it into Dynamics.
Exactly. That's right. And like I said before, this is the simplest example, right? We want to make this super simple. So anyone that's watching this, they can take this, add whatever business logic they need to make this as awesome as possible for their own environments.
And you can see right here how easy it would be to add additional information into the import process, right? Either using additional prompts with Copilot or manually in the Power Automate adding additional information that you wanted to.
Exactly. That's right. That's right.
Very cool.
So yeah, I mean, I really like this, Jeremy. It's so cool. It's just so easy, and you get to use Copilot, and you don't need to. You're like hands off the keyboard, right? After you've built this thing, or if you want to just use it out of the box with accounts, our sample, you don't need to go into Dynamics. You don't need to like go into that import screen and import the data manually. It's doing everything. The agent's doing everything for you. You just like 3 button clicks and something like that, and the data's in Dynamics.
Yeah, I think the next step here is to just take this and build upon it and see if we can't add additional information that we can create sample data for using Copilot.
100%. It's all about having fun. I want people to have fun with this, right? I think you agree.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you so
All
much,
right, thanks,
everyone.
Carl.